displaying the glory of God's creation by exploring America one park at a time. Welcome to Parking Full Time with Big Dave, the Parks Professor. Hole number 8. The par and distance are at the top of the screen. This hole starts in the fairly open and lightly wooded area that we've been in for the first 7 holes. But we're heading into a more densely wooded area, and that's the area that we're going to be in for most of the rest of the course. So this is kind of a transition hole. This is a really tight approach here to the basket, especially with that tree in the middle of the fairway. So this is a birdieable hole, but you're going to need an accurate throw. There's the basket, and there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. The 9th hole plays southward through a pine planting. You can tell it's a pine planting because of the row and column configuration of these trees. The pine planting does make for a fairly tight fairway, although there are tighter holes to come. I do want to welcome you back to Parking Full Time. I am Big Dave, the Parks Professor. We are at Paint Creek State Park. So we are between Cincinnati and Chillicothe, Ohio. The basket is up here on the right. It's actually off-centered from the fairway in the pine planting, and so that adds to the difficulty a little bit. There's the view back to the tee. The 10th hole is even tighter, and it's a slight dogleg right. Some of these heavily wooded holes have very much a poke and pray feel. You just throw your disc and hope you get a good ricochet off of a tree. And in general, a lot of the holes on this course are good solid holes, but the heavily wooded nature of these holes does tend to get kind of repetitive, and there aren't any holes here that maybe I would consider to be truly memorable holes. There's the 10th basket, and this is the tightest hole, by far the tightest hole we've seen so far. The 11th hole is almost as tight as the previous hole. The woods are not quite as dense in the understory, so you've got a better chance of finding your disc if you should happen to throw it into the woods on this hole. I captured this video on Monday, October 23rd, and it was a gorgeous fall day with temperatures in the low 60s when I came here. Here's the basket up here. This hole's a little more open, but certainly not open, and you definitely need an accurate throw to get up to the basket. The 12th hole is another short and tight hole. It's another heavily wooded hole, and it's another gradual dogleg right. Again, the middle 7 does get somewhat repetitive. None of these are bad holes, but it's a lot of the same thing over and over again. I do need to say a word about the course route on this course. This course has 21 holes, and for video purposes, I've divided it into 3 sets of 7. We did the front 7 last week. This is the middle 7, holes numbers 8 through 14. And then we'll do the back 7 next week, that's holes numbers 15 through 21. The next 2 holes are the only 2 holes on this course that have any real elevation, and therefore they're 2 of my favorite holes on this course, even though they're both very heavily wooded, and therefore they both still have a bit of a poke and pray feel. This hole plays moderately downhill, and it would take a really good throw and also a little bit of luck in order to get all the way down to the basket in one throw. But because this hole is only 221 feet and it is moderately downhill, it is certainly aceable. But it would take a good throw and probably a lucky throw. The 14th hole and final hole on the middle 7 plays back up the hill. It is tight and heavily wooded, but not quite as tight as some previous holes. Overall, I think this hole is a very fair challenge considering that it plays uphill and considering its short length. I do want to thank you for watching this video. Parking Full Time would not be anything without the people who watch. I realize that every day, and I thank you every day. This hole with the basket here perched on the side of the hill is kind of the closest thing this course has to a signature hole, which maybe says more about the blandness of most of these holes than it does anything about this hole. That is the end of the middle 7. I will see you on the back 7. Until then, have a great afternoon, take care, and Lord bless.